Hello, welcome to the part 3 of the assetless Mario. Now, I want to kind of expand on what we did in last session and add a little bit more towards the win-lose conditions. I'm kind of just going to start this off by going into Paint, and we will just create textures for our coins as well as our other blocks that we want to work on. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly resize this to a 64 by 64 pixels. And I think I will make the coin first. So for the coin, I'll just use a simple, let's stretch this out like this. I have no ideas, by the way, what I'm doing. I'm just thinking of creating a bunch of circles within circles, maybe add some black outline, just so it looks a little bit different than the default. Now let's move this down a little bit. There we go. Okay, one in the middle. Like so. Another one here. Actually, no, let's not do these ones. Let's do another one here. Make this thicker, of course. I should have probably did the inner circles first. Boom, boom. Yellow one next. Outside's going to be, of course, yellow as well. And then what do we have here? Orange at the end. Now let's add the black lines everywhere else. And after that, we're just going to do one more icon for black holes. Anyway, there we go. Like this, and like this, and like this. Okay, now I just need to fix this a little bit. Let's get rid of that one. Anywhere else it looks off. Let's have a look. This here, here. Okay, a little bit more. There we go. So that's going to be our little coin texture. So let's save that as. We'll call it the coin. Let's just make a new one. And for the green one, it's going to be something very simple. We'll just create. Actually, for the green one, I don't think I want anything. Was kind of happy with what we had thus far. So I'm just going to grab this in here, drag it in. There we go. We will then go into our scene view, click on any of the coins. Actually, the coins need to be a prefab, which they're not currently. So let's just override the current one. Yep, replace it. Now open up the visual and drag in our coin into the material slot to override the material. There we go, like so. And well, is it the best looking thing? No. Will it do? Yeah, sure, why not? Let's just give it a look. Yeah, the biggest problem is that it's weird in the middle because we didn't UV the texture, but that's fine because we don't plan on doing that. So now that we have everything, let's try dying in the game. Yeah, the movement really needs to work, some work. So, one, actually, two, and what will happen if we die the third time? So the game continues, which is not what should actually happen. What we actually want to do is we want to stop the player from spawning when we get to that point. So we want to do the game over trigger, and we will do that by, well, firstly, let's have a look at what makes our camera move once we die. So let's have a look at the out of bounds script. So our out of bounds script has this line here, which accesses the level manager and just does reset player position. Well, I believe we actually don't want this here anymore. Instead, we will run it in lose health script instead in the game manager. So you'll do it like this. Of course, level manager is not referenced anywhere. So let's just create a new reference for it, private level manager, and call it level manager. Same like in there. Oh, it's called manage level, never mind. Now let's just have a look at level manager script itself real quick. There we go, that's fine. And we will only call our reset position here. In fact, what we'll do is no, I think actually we were going to put it as an else. So only then we will check for it and replace our player. Because we don't want to reset the player if we if this happens. Here we just want to run the game over scene. So let's go into our, well, actually, let's have a look at something that stores our UI. I believe that would be the UI manager. Where are we? So in the level manager, we have a UI manager, which is this script here. And what we can do is get a new text component, and that's going to be our game over display. I'm just going to quickly Google and see what game over looks like in Mario. Now that's not very accurate showing, is it? Okay. Well. Excuse me. Okay, so since I know what I'm going to do. So we will do it like this. So we will display game over in the position of camera that we're at. And then we will trigger our boolean for game over, which will just allow us to change to the end game scene. So let's create a serializable field. Well, no, let's create a boolean. So it's going to be private boolean has lost, and we're going to set it to false. And then, of course, let's just add a start for the sake of it, and we'll do has lost is equal to false. So when we first load in, we are obviously not losing. Our game over displayed game object set active will be set to false, and what we will have here is we will have a public void lose game, and what this will do is it'll do the reverse of this. So we'll set has lost to true, and game over display will be set to true like so. Then we will add an update function, which will just check if has lost is equal, well, if has lost is equal to true, then we can just do if input don't get any key down, there any button? That's actually that's something that we'll test later, I guess. And what we'll do here is we're going to load a new scene. So we'll just do using Unity engine.scene management, like so. And this is where we will have to load in the lose game scene. So let's just name this level 1, like so. And let's create a new folder for our levels. When we finish making all the game mechanics, we'll add more levels into the game. And then outside of here, we'll create 2 new scenes. So first one is going to be the end game scene. And second scene is going to be the, what would it be called? The main menu. No need to call that a scene. Now, what we'll also do is, so let's just create here a private function, private void set end game. And what set end game will do is we're just going to call it here. So it allows us to like this, allows us to press any button after losing to end the game. We might actually have a little timer here instead, so the player doesn't click too early, but that's for later. In fact, let's make a note right here. Maybe add a timer so we don't click too soon and can properly read the loose screen. So what we have here is runs when player loses all of their health points. So what we will also do here is we will just in here at the bottom we will do player prefs, well, player prefs dot set. I guess we're just gonna do, no, let's just do a set string because that will be easier to understand. So actually, let's do set integer instead. I think that would be easier. So the key is going to be has lost, and 0 will mean lost. 1, well, has 1. 0 will correspond to us losing. And this will be passed on to our player prefs. That means in a different scene, we can use this value without moving this entire component across. And then we'll just do scene manager. And before we do that, let's just set up our scene builds. So what I'll do is I'll first put the main menu and end game together, and then we'll put every single level down from that point onwards. So load scene, and that's going to be scene number 1, like so. We might actually change this, so change to a loading so we can actually extend this a little bit later. There we go. So here we do the triggers, and with this we can go back into our game manager, and we'll need the same thing with that. Now, one thing that we'll have to do is we'll have to reset these instances every single time we enable this script. So on enable, actually it's fine. So here so what our problem will be, we might have struggled with this a little bit. let's leave this like this for now, and later we might change it to something else. So what do we have here? We have manage level, reset player position, but what we'll do here is we'll do manage UI dot, and we're looking at lose game, like so. And of course, we will have to do the exact same here thing as here. What? And change this to UI manager, like so. Perfect. With this, we now can lose the game. But let's create winning a level next, I guess. And let's create our enemy before we do that, since we've created an enemy yesterday, but we didn't actually code the enemy in. So if we select our player character, and we just duplicate the character, let's move him to the side and change how the player looks. So we will model this after the Gomba from, so let's call it the enemy Gomba. I think that's what they're called. If I'm wrong, then well, I'm wrong. So instead of player, we'll change the tag to enemy. And don't have any ideas for what we're going to use the tags for just yet. And for ground mass, of course, ground. And yeah, sure, let's start with being on the right side. And let's just see if it's going to work for now. So we're going to press play, and our enemy starts moving. There is an error straight away in our level manager. That's because we haven't created our game over text. So let's quickly do that before we test, so we don't get any errors. So let's create a new text, and that's going to be our game over text, like so. And then just put game over in here. Let's make it span across our entire canvas, center the entire text, go all the way like this, make it a little bit bigger, like so, and of course apply our font that we got for this particular game, and it's going to look something like this. Maybe make it more visible, make it bold. There we go. And with this done, let's go into our, actually, I would like to have it slightly higher. Of course, every level will be different, but I feel like it will look better if it's higher. Okay, so now we have our game over done. Now we shouldn't get the error anymore. Let's give this a play. Oh, we still didn't attach it. Where is our level manager? Right here. And now we have attached another piece of text in here. Now let's give this a play. Now our enemy just moves backwards and forwards between the points, which is exactly what we want him to do. Now let's create the visuals for our enemy. So this uses the small player model. I'm just going to duplicate it and scale this side up. Move this inwards like this to get our little mushroom shape. I actually want this to be smaller than our player character. Like so. I think we can make this bigger so it doesn't stand out so much. Okay, now let's click on the collider and shrink the collider a little bit to give the player a little bit of a breathing space. Now with this done, let's give him some colors. I think I'm going to go back into paint. So the stalk can stay white, that's not a problem. I need to move these materials out here. However, let's actually create a new white color. No, this will be the black part. feel like this is not positioned in the center anymore. What about that one? There we go. No. Show me the collider again. Sure, that should be better. Now, let me just, so for this, we will just create a brown head. And let me just quickly have a look at what they look like. Oh, so they had like faces and stuff. I don't think we'll do that. Okay, so we can do add. So their stalk was actually a completely different color than what I thought. If I try to add eyes, I think it's gonna look awful, but let's give this a go. Where are we? This, and this, this, and then we switch to black. Like so, like so, like so. No, stay here. Okay, so let's fill up the remaining bits with the black. There we go. Okay, so we have that shape here. Now, I'll save as, let's just call it the face. Of course, this is not UV, so it's going to look quite bad. Let's just drag it in the images. Remove these out of here. Just realized that this actually has to be completely different. It already looks bad, doesn't it? Oh well, where are we? Yeah, that didn't work as planned. Let's maybe try using a cube and see what it's going to look like if it's a cube. Oh, it's actually alright if it's a cube, so if you can call it that. So I'll do is I'll create this in here. Oh, that's because it was inside. Actually, I have an idea. So we have our original. The original can stretch outside, like so. We can just attach the exact same material to it. No. Okay, that was a bad idea. Oh, go back. Oh well, where are we? It's gonna look so funny. Okay, so it's like a little face here. So he has to have little legs as well, which we can do very easily. There we go. And let's go into our materials folder. Now we will attach the black to the legs. Now we have some empty materials that we can assign. So let's create the cream body color. Maybe a little bit of an orange. Yeah, like this. So this is going to be the now let's create the face color, attaching it to the face, and that's just going to be more of a brown color. Actually, I think I'm just going to go into paint and find that specific color and just paint an entire square with it. So this is the brown. Where are we? Images. Just drag it in here. Okay, now that we have this, let's go into our materials and find the brown. No, I want it to be darker. Definitely go into this face, change the same. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so this is as stupid as it looks. I think it's actually pretty cool. Okay, now that we have this guy, let's work on his collision. Again, I want to have a little bit of a leeway between colliding with him to give the player a chance to escape. I think this is alright. I think we can go into our prefabs and just sort this out a little bit. So we'll have blocks. We will have enemies for sure. So inside our blocks, let's just put these 4 in, and inside the enemies folder, we'll of course put the little enemy that we have here. And actually, I just realized there's going to be a slight problem when he's going to... Oh, wow, his face is not even part of him. Let's rename this as face, update it. So what I kind of want to do is I want to make sure the face is on both ends, but it's going to be flipped. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, so I'll show what I mean by it's going to look weird. So let's give this a play. Oh no, it's just funky in general. Which is great, I guess. Yep, looks great. It looks so off. It's like the most detailed thing in this entire thing, which makes it stand out so much. Okay, also it's so stretched, but you can't even see it when you look at it in the 2D view, which is the funny part. Okay, now that we have this, I think we have collision set for our the cylinder tower. It's more of a warping device, if anything. Okay, so we have our enemy. The enemy can't be killed or interacted with the player, but anyway, we can do our very first section for what we want to do in a game, and that's to essentially take a picture of this. So I'll click maximize on play, I'll press play, and first thing actually we need more coins. It's gonna look better if there's more coins. So what I'm doing now is I'm just preparing the scene for the game. Maybe remove this one here. So what I did was I took a quick screenshot. I'm just gonna go into Paint now. I'm gonna show what I'm doing in a second. And there we go. So here I have a screen capture that I just took. I'm just gonna cut down the edges. Remove this edge here. Just do a quick 180 rotation. Remove this here. Rotate it 180 again. And we have ourselves our front screen. So let's call it the front screen of our main menu. Now with this done, let's go into here, put it in. I'm going to kind of split the folders here, so I'll just do skybox. I'll put textures in one. Textures, if you can call them that. And our front screen is here now. So if we go into our main menu now, first thing we're going to create is a image in a canvas. So this is going to be the main menu canvas. And our image is going to span across our entire canvas. We'll change, of course, our canvas so it scales with screen size. And this is going to be our background image, like so. Oh, great. Background image. main menu canvas, like so. For our background image, we will then go into our front. Of course, we have to change it into a sprite, which we will. Let's drag it in. For our main menu, we can just keep this as a solid color. There's no need to change it. Orthographic. We'll actually only display 2D images anyway. So we just have a little scene like this. And this is where more or less how the game starts. And then what we will just do is create a text, which will be the start game text. Now, because it's a very simple classic game, there really isn't much that we would add towards how it functions. So let's make this bigger, and we'll do press any key to start game. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Maybe move it so it's above the coins for the visibility sake. There we go, like so. There we go. And I'm thinking of later animating this section, but for now it's good enough. Now let's create a new script and call it main menu. Now in our main menu, we will need two elements. We'll need using Unity engine.ui, and we'll need using Unity engine. And then let's create using Unity engine.ui and scene management. Actually, let me just see something real quick. So this is something I've never done before. I don't know if it's going to work or not. And that's animating a piece of text using the animator. So text animation. It might work, it might not. So what we want here, so we have our text. Does that, will it start recording? So if we click on about a halfway, no, it's not gonna work. Never mind, forget about it. Yeah, because I'm thinking of creating some kind of a fade-in effect. I guess we'll just keep moving between the alpha levels later on, but it's fine for now. So now that we have this, let's just drag in our main menu into here. Open it here, and what we will do is we simply need a reference to our text, so private text. Or actually, we don't even need the text reference for now. All we need is an update function, which will private. So if input dot get any key down, then we just do scene manager dot load scene, and the scene we want to load is our scene number 2. So if we remember, 0 and 1 are for main menu and 2 is for our first level. So let's just give this a try. We press any key and the game starts. It almost seems as if it was the same thing. Of course, we would want to add some loading here too. Add loading sequence here as well, maybe. In fact, we could even do this now. Just going to quickly check out Unity references. Pretty sure there was a quick... There we go. So what we will need for this is a coroutine. I think I'm about to sneeze. No? Yes? Excuse me again. So I'll do private IE numerator, and that's going to be load scene async. Am I spelling async properly? Probably not. Like this. There we go. And what we will have is essentially just when we press this button, well, this has to be moved here. We'll just do start coroutine, and that will be load your scene as sync. And then let's just create a bool, private bool is loading scene. Let's create a start function is loading screen is equal to false, and oopsie daisy, and then and is loading is equal to false. Now we press this, and then we set is loading to true. Well, actually, let's just do it at the start of the coroutine. So we do at least start one coroutine in our cycle, like so. And then what we have to do is wait. I think there's might be doing it slightly wrong. Da, 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 da. Okay, so let's just check this out. What those Unity references have to say. So we'll yield null for starters. We'll do async operation. Async. So I did spell async wrong. No, I corrected it. Scene async, and that's gonna be our scene 2. Of course, we want to set this to true before we do any of that. That's gonna be the first thing we do. And then while async operation dot is done, and basically we're not going to have any loading bar or anything here. We'll just do if our async operation dot progress is higher than or equal to 0.9f. We'll only then complete the operation, and we'll do async operation. Where are we? Dot allow scene activation is equal to true, and then we yield return null, like so. This will just create a little bit more of a consistent loading in between scene 1 and scene 2. There we go. Of course, this will always be set to true on start, which is great every time we'll reset the game. So let's start, press the key. Nothing's happening. In fact, the project has probably crashed. Which is no good. Oh, unexpected crash. So this has crashed everything instead. Oh, I set priority. This is why it was meant to be progress. Whoopsie daisy. So there we go. Let's reset the project real quick for our Unity editor, and oh my god, how did this happen? Okay. Did my menu not save? Oh, it did. Thought we were going to be doomed for a second. not priority.progress. Let's give this another try. Let's hope it doesn't break this time around. Okay, so any key. Are you still not dead? Or are you? Yes, you are. Wait, did it not actually change the code? Okay. No. If this worst case scenario, I'll just look up the code on how it was done in the tower defense one and fix it. To be honest, I don't remember. It's not an operation I perform all the time. Where are we? Open the code. Yeah, let's just ignore it for now. What matters is that it worked before we made it not work. Okay, back to what we were actually doing. So today, so we added the game over sequence. Wow, it actually took so long to just do the game over sequence. I guess we're just gonna add destroying blocks in the next part and killing the enemy, because right now there's no way to kill him. We kind of just sit on top of him and there is no way to leave because we only can interact with the ground. So that means before we add destroying of the enemies, we will need to rework how the movement works instead. Yeah, and then I'm just gonna leave this part, which is what's it called, the okay, so what we kind of want to do here is block the movement when we get to that, but I guess everything else can be left for tomorrow, to be honest. So in the next part, we will be destroying blocks and triggering the mushrooms. That means we will slightly rework how the enemies move. We will also add in these guys, so they come up and down, as well as our ability to move between levels based on each mushroom, or at least we will prepare that because we're not going to have any levels yet. And then I guess we'll have to do some kind of a score system, but again, that's for the future. So yeah, that'll be it for now. Thank you for today. There'll be more coming tomorrow, and hopefully by the end of this week, it's going to be finished.